Welcome to Trial by Wine. We take a closer look at crimes that highlight how fascinating humans can be. Schmidty, Swanee and Clarky visit crimes and run them through their jury of three, debating both sides of the case to agree an appropriate, if totally fictitious, sentence. Please be advised, Trial by Wine may include explicit or disturbing content and will include drunken rambling. Listener discretion is advised. Minus Swanee, yeah. Are we?
Fab-O. It's a couple of days out from Christmas. Work's finished for the year.
Oh, I know,
what's not
it's
to
so
love?
good. So good. I mean, in fairness, I had a 4-week holiday, came back for 2 weeks, and now I'm on 2 weeks holiday. But kind of, if I were to say it was planned differently, I'd be lying. And you know what it's like?
Nice
You get back from
planning.
work, you could be away for 6 months. You're back 2 minutes, and you feel like you've never been away. So, any news? It's been a while. It's been a hot minute since we
Has been a
recorded.
while.
Probably 6 weeks, 7 weeks.
Something like that. Someone I know has been traveling all over the
I have.
So
I went all over the
how
arc.
was
Yeah.
it?
It was beautiful. Loved it. Yeah. And it snowed at one point, so that was very magical for us who don't see snow.
Yay.
Yeah, it was all good.
Unless you go to the snow, in which case you do.
I don't go to the snow. I'm not a millionaire.
We've
Not in
gone
this
sometimes
country.
just to drink wine by the fire.
Well, that would be the
Ridiculous.
other, because I'm not going to go skiing, so that would be the only reason I'd go, is to drink by a
Yeah.
fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have been to snow in Australia, but it's not something I do every year. And what about you guys? News?
What about us guys' news? Well, like I said, finish work. We've been doing some jobs around the house already because we've got a little list that we
Me
want to
too.
do before we
Yeah.
go back to work. And so we thought,
Mhm.
oh, well, rather than putting it off, let's just get on and do it.
I started on gardening, and because what I've been doing is
Yeah.
putting soaker hoses everywhere, because we'll go away between Boxing Day and New Year's, and I would like to not come back to a dead garden. So I thought I better prepare that. I want to come back, even though I don't go back to work till the 6th, I think I'll come back on the 2nd, because there's so much stuff in this house that needs to be thrown out. All right, it's time that we just really get sensible about the things. If you haven't looked at something for 10 years, Tony, you don't need it. That giant book on Elvis, we don't need it.
Oh, no one needs it.
I
Even if you have
know.
looked at it in the last 10 minutes, you don't need it.
I know,
Gosh.
right? And I'm just
Oof,
using that
that's
as
a
an
lot.
example of so much of that sort of
All the things you
detritus.
could have chosen. I mean, that should have gone just because.
Oh, I threw out a lot of his books when I moved him out of his place. And of course, he hasn't noticed because he never looked at them. So it's fine.
That is one passion I don't understand, Elvis.
Oh, no.
Just don't get it.
No, although I do know that I can't even think of what it's called. There's a medley that Elvis sings, and it's got Glory, Glory, Hallelujah in it, and can't remember what the other songs are. There's 3 songs, and Tony loves it. He gets all emotionally cries when he hears it. I suppose we should introduce ourselves, and for those regular listeners, you may have noticed that a certain person hasn't chimed in, because not 10 days, no, not even that, 4 days after I returned from the UK, Swanee went over there. And so we don't have Swanee with us today. She's still on her European jaunt.
You could have almost high-fived at the airport.
Swanning around the UK. Or actually, I don't even know if she's just in the UK. I know she was, because she sent us a note from Covent Garden she sent me a note with a picture of someone in a coat.
I saw that, yes.
Yeah, so she might be in Europe. I don't know where she is, frankly. But anyway, she's not here. So it's just the 3 of us, being myself, Clarky, and of course Wu, who sits quietly in the corner most times. And Tony did offer to come and, fill out the space. And I said, no, you're good, thanks. So I suppose we should introduce ourselves. I'm Schmidty. There's no Swanee.
And I'm Clarky. And together we are
Trial by Wine. And what are you drinking?
Funnily enough, we are having wine, and we are recording 3 days out from Christmas. So, in honor of a certain person, we are drinking a Fat Bastard Chardonnay from
for Santa.
California.
Oh, nice.
Well,
nice.
For Santa, or for most of us post-Christmas lunch, or
Chardonnay.
there's probably a lot of reasons to have Fat Bastard at this time of year. How about you?
Well, I'm finishing off a bottle that we opened last week, but it's still good. I don't know how to say this. Louis Vuitton, maybe? Sparkling rosé. It's actually a Cremant de Bourgogne. I had this at a restaurant in Melbourne I don't know, 18 months ago. And I remember that it was the cheapest wine available on the menu. And even so, because I was in one of those sorts of restaurants, it was $100 and something. So it was well over 100, maybe
Wow.
140. The next one up was Verve or something at 200 and something. So we drank this and I thought, this is really nice. When we were in the UK, Sainsbury's had it for £15 a bottle. So needless to say, which is $30, needless to say, I bought probably a dozen of these and drank them the whole way through the UK because I thought this is a very nice drop. I found it at Jim's Cellars here in Australia for $39 a bottle, which is not too bad considering the export, etc. And so that is what I'm drinking. And I can tell our listeners that and it's called the Perle d'Arles, and it is a really, really drinkable drop. That's what I'm on.
It's a pretty colour too.
I do like a sparkling rosé. I will not lie. I don't like a flat rosé as much, but I love a sparkling one. Probably because I like sparkling white. Now, have you got a story for us?
I have.
Tell me more.
Sorry, a little pre-story sip of wine there.
Go right ahead.
Tell you more. I'm going to tell you a story.
Tell me more.
Did you get very far?
Was it death at first sight? It's so inappropriate. Anyway.
For some people, maybe. Anyway, I'm going to tell you a story that I had never heard of. And to be honest, I'm quite surprised I haven't heard of this one, let alone that it's not made into a movie.
Okay.
But then again, I do have a habit of falling asleep during movies. So there's every chance that there is a movie and that I've watched it and that I slept right through it.
Same.
Who knows?
Because we are in Christmas spirit time, I don't know if you guys do this, but over the last few years, I have discovered the plethora of corny Christmas films on Netflix. And they all bring them all out at this time of year. And
they do, yes.
I think it was last year or the year before. At some point, I said to Tony, this has to be a Christmas tradition for us. We have to watch some of these. Of course, last year, Mum was... And so I think at this time, I was sort of like, can we just watch some shit that I don't need to think about, right? Because there was a lot going on. Anyway, a friend of mine, I was talking about this earlier this week, and a friend of mine says, have you seen Hot Frosty, right? And Hot Frosty has got to be the worst of all of these. But she says, no, it's really corny, but it's actually, for its corniness, quite good. It took me and Tony, I think, 3.5 nights to get through it because we put it on, we'd watch maybe 25 minutes and fall asleep. And it wasn't an indictment on Hot Frosty. It was just how tired we were at this time of year. Hot Frosty is about a Frosty the Snowman who comes to life and, changes the life of some woman, and it's a romance, and I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but it's really silly. It's but it's got a stellar cast. That's the bit I don't understand about some of these Christmas films that are coming out. And in some of them, I've noticed, and it's obviously done on purpose, they actually, if there's a scene where someone's watching the television, they will show scenes from other corny Christmas films being made by the same production house. It's quite funny.
No.
It sounds
like, I mean, I think whoever came up with a name for the movie probably should have checked it a little bit more. It sounds like it's a Christmas porn movie.
It's not, but it does sound like that. You're right. In fact, they're all very, how do I put it? They're all very sweet. There's no graphic sex. In fact, the other day, one came up with a warning that said it had sex scenes in it. And the next night I was making dinner, I said to Tony, that film we watched last night? Because he goes, oh, it's got sex scenes. Do you recall any sex scenes? And he's like, no. And it was like a slightly suggestive dance maybe in it, and it was being billed as a sex scene. I was like, I'll show you a sex scene, mate. Have you ever seen 13 Songs or something? Anyway, that was just porn. So tell us your story.
Rightio. So I'll start with my sources. So Daily Mail, The West Australian, so that gives you a bit of an indication of location, the Western Australia Police Journal, and Wikipedia. So this is the story of Joseph Thomas Schwab. Joseph was born in Starnberg, Bavaria, West Germany, on the 25th of November 1960. As a child, Joseph Thomas Schwab was a shy, timid person, and when he was 15, he joined a local rifle club in Pocking, where he remained a member until 1981. On the 15th of June that year, Joseph set off to Australia, heading to Adelaide, where he worked as a cabinet maker.
I was going to say, where is Pocking in WA?
In Germany. No, because
that makes so much more sense.
He was born in Germany.
Yeah, I know, but because you said he was the WA sources, right? So I just assumed he'd either immediately been in Australia or raised there. Sorry. I'm like, I've never heard of that. Right, okay.
He's in Adelaide now, and staying true to his hobby, he joined the local pistol club. He owned several rifles, liked to head off in his four-wheel drive, and go shooting feral pigs. So now, for those of you
As
who
you
don't
do.
know, Australia does have a bit of a feral pig problem. In fact, we have one in our neck of the woods. Neighbours of
Do
ours have pigs
you?
come out of the national park,
Yeah.
yeah, and dig up the paddocks. And it looks like a rotary hose been through it. Literally just rips up all of the
Wow.
grass
Yeah.
in the paddock. So, yeah, it can be quite problematic. So, I'm a fan of people who go feral pig shooting,
Did I ever
but I
tell you that
digress.
joke? I feel like I told you that pig joke recently. Or was I telling someone else?
I'm not sure.
I very quickly, man goes on like a big sheep station, huge Australian farm. And I don't know, how do you describe the size of those? Like a bazillion hectares or something, right?
As big as countries.
So bazillions of country size hectares. Anyway, so the guy who runs the place, the owner says, "Can you go out and check the fences on the most northern paddock?" And it's probably a day's drive to get up there. And he says, pack the ute, take some stuff. You'll probably have to stay the night. Take a rifle, whatever. Off he goes. And he gets up, and then I don't know, hours later, the owner gets a radio call, and he said, and it's the other guy going, "Hey, I need some help." And he goes, "What is it?" And he says, "Well, I've hit a pig, and it's stuck on the bull bar of my car, of the ute." And he goes, "Well, what's the problem?" He says, "It's still alive. It's thrashing around everywhere." He goes, "Just look, get the shotgun down and carefully shoot it, so you don't shoot through the car, right? Kill it. Then take it off the bull bar, drag it into the bush." And it's like, okay. So he does that. About 15 minutes later, he gets another radio from the guy, and he's going, "What's the problem now?" And he goes, "Well, remember I hit the pig?" He goes, "Yeah, I know you hit it. Did you do what I said?" He goes, Yeah. I shot it, didn't damage the car, and I took it off and I moved it." He goes, "Well, what's the problem?" He goes, "His motorcycle's still under the car."
Oh,
Oh, it's terrible, I know.
naughty.
It's terrible, I know. In fact, now I remember where I told that. It was in England with my two police friends. It was part of the Sunbury
Oh,
Massive.
nice.
I did get a little laugh from it. Yeah. Please continue. Feral pig, that's what makes me think of.
Yes, right.
Mm.
Back to the story, hey. So on the
Mhm.
10th of May 1984, Joseph returned to Germany, where he became a security guard. And of course, it was important that he could use a pistol in this role. So he received training from his employer.
Is it? Okay.
He was a night watchman from the 3rd of April 1985 until the 15th of April 1987.
I feel like just general public night watchmen shouldn't have a gun, but okay. It's
Well,
Germany.
it's Germany.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
knows? During which time he committed several minor crimes, including forcibly entering a passenger car, theft from a restaurant, and breaking and entering apartments. And by minor crimes, maybe we should be calling them gateway crimes.
They're not really that minor, but all right. Yep. Well, they're not murder and rape and stuff, but still.
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
Gateway.
but they're not.
It's not
not
like
good bloke
check
kind of
fraud
crimes.
and right.
Yeah,
White collar.
but so he had no history of mental illness, just so you know.
FYI.
Although it is the
Okay,
80s,
good to
so
know.
maybe
maybe he
does and
did,
no
and
one
no
knew.
one cared. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah. So Joseph decided it was time to head back to Australia. And on the 18th of April, he arrived in Brisbane, travelling via Bangkok. Have you heard that one? What do you no? Confucius say, "Man who going through revolving door with erection going to Bangkok."
Oh, classic.
Classic. Funny. He rented a Toyota 4Runner at Brisbane Airport and then went to a gun shop in Woolloongabba,
As you
where he
do.
bought 3 rifles. 2 were
Far
bolt
out.
action and 1 was semi-automatic, as well as a pump action shotgun. Oh, and of course, 3,000 rounds of ammunition. One shop.
Oh, this is before Port
Yeah,
Arthur,
alarm
isn't
bells
it?
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah, of
before Port
course.
Arthur. Yep.
Hands up if you think Joseph is setting himself up to single-handedly fix Australia's feral pig problem.
My hand is not up.
And hands up if you think something else is going on.
Hands up now. Yep.
Yep, unanimous. Everyone's with that
Mm-hmm.
one. So then he took off west. He bought petrol in Diamantina on the 6th of May and received a parking ticket in Mount Isa 3 days later.
Mm.
This is how we know which way he's gone. He crossed over into the Northern Territory and had repairs done on the hired vehicle at Darwin Service Station on May the 20th. And He was spotted at Carmel Plains Station at Point Stewart on June the 4th. Schwab sent his mother, Joanna, at least 4 postcards while he was in Australia, and always sounded fine. His last postcard, sent from Darwin, included the line, "I am looking forward to something."
Unless you knew he'd bought all the guns and all the rifles and, all the ammunition, you might not have a red flag from that.
Oh,
Sound like
back
he's being
then, the
positive.
postcard would have arrived after the story was done, right? But
Okay,
the
right.
point
Oh,
is, he
yes.
was looking forward to something, and what he was looking
Yeah.
forward to,
It's not
I'm
what the
about
rest
to
of us
tell
look
you.
forward to.
Schwab was still unknown to authorities when he was seen at the Wayside Inn on Victoria River, about 14 hours south of Darwin, on June the 9th. A family on holiday from Fremantle in Western Australia, Marcus Bullen and his wife Winifred, with their son Lance Bullen and his wife Joan, had stopped at the Wayside to camp the previous night.
Oh, no.
About 9 a.m. on June the 9th, Marcus and Lance went to look for a fishing spot, telling their wives they would return in an hour. They failed to make it back to camp
Oh,
by the
God. I tell you,
afternoon.
camping's dangerous. Yeah.
The following day, police found the Bullens' burnt-out Mitsubishi Sigma wagon parked
Oh,
next to the Victoria River. 2 shallow graves containing the bodies of Marcus, 70, and Lance, 42, were found nearby.
shame.
A specialist team of police was flown down from Darwin, and a 2-day ground and air search was conducted over the area. Police found impressions of footwear with a rippled sole, drag marks, and blood from the Bullens. A single .223 round had been fired through each of the men's backs.
Mm.
Horswell wrote that police formed the view that Schwab had been in the area when the Bullens arrived, or got there shortly after them. It is thought that he waited until both men had alighted from the vehicle and then, armed with his .223 caliber firearm, challenged both men, Horswell wrote. He then ordered them to, He then ordered them both to lay on the ground on their stomachs and shot them both through the back,
A
the
coward.
projectiles entering the ground beneath both men.
Mm.
Schwab had stripped the victims, putting their clothing in the Sigma, and removed the vehicle's number plates. The station wagon was driven a short distance and set on fire. The Bullens had been dragged by the legs from where they were murdered and buried at the river's high water mark, possibly in the hope they would be taken by crocodiles. So, detectives now have every reason to believe an armed and very dangerous killer was on the loose. However, by the time the alarm was raised, Schwab was already on his way to the West Australian border. 5 days later, he was hundreds of kilometres away, having headed northwest to the Kimberley. Now, Schmidty, talking of large spaces, the Kimberley, which is in Western Australia,
It's
is among the most
massive.
remote places in Australia and covers 423,517 square kilometres,
Far out.
which is 3 times the area of England and about the same size as California. So big area.
Well, Australia, most of Europe fits in Australia. In fact, almost all of it.
Yeah, yeah. So the Kimberley is a place people go to for solitude, to stare into the desert night skies, explore ancient mountain ranges, and fish for the area's abundant barramundi.
And just get eaten by flies. Yuck. Oh, have you ever watched Four Corners or Australian Story and they're up in these places and the flies, they're just in your eyes, they're
Oh,
up your nose, they're in your
you
mouth.
can
I just can't.
in
Oh,
your
I
orifices.
just
You can lean up
can't.
against the flies in those places. They're
Oh,
that thick.
it's just
Terrible.
revolting. Oh, just couldn't. Sorry. I cannot stand flies.
They need giant flycatchers.
Flies and Ned Kelly. Yeah. They're my things.
So Joseph wasn't there to hunt barramundi.
No, of course he
On
wasn't.
June the 13th, Philip Walkermeyer, 26, and his fiancée Julie Warren, 25, and their friend Terry Bolt, 36, set up camp at the Pentecost River Crossing picnic area, about 110 kilometres southwest of Kununurra. The group, travelling in a Toyota Land Cruiser, was joined by David Mackenzie, who worked with Walkermeyer and Bolt at the Department of Aviation in Kununurra, and Daniel Rowe. The party of 5 fished until late that night, and then the following morning, after having breakfast together, Mackenzie and Rowe headed back to Kununurra. Shortly before 4 p.m. that day, a truck driver on the Gibb Road saw a column of black smoke coming from the Pentecost River crossing picnic area. After he went over the crossing, the truck driver slowed down to let what he described as a white Hilux with a rear canopy and Queensland plates pass him. Guess who that was?
Mm.
The next day, Walkermeyer and Bolt were not at work or at their homes, and Warren could also not be found. Mackenzie returned to the Pentecost River area, located Walkermeyer's burnt-out vehicle in a gully and notified police. The naked body of Warren was found lying face down near the river, about 500 metres from the camp, a single .223 round having been fired through her back. The next morning, the naked body of Walkemeyer was found in the Pentecost River close to the campsite. Multiple .223 rounds had been fired through his right ear and chest.
Oh,
Later that morning, the body of Bolt, also naked, was located on the bank of the river about 3 kilometres from the crossing. Multiple .223 rounds had been fired through the right side of his head, 2 through the back and 1 through the right shoulder. The impressions of shoe soles, similar to those seen at the Bullen murders in the Northern Territory, were also found during the search. Horswell's observations at the scene allowed him to interpret that Schwab had watched Walkemeyer, Bolt and Warren at the campsite from high ground, then approached them through high grass. From about 100 metres out, he had begun firing from the
I was going to
Ruger
ask,
Mini
was
14.
he shooting at point blank range or no?
No, not to start with anyway. So he began firing, moving in an arc around the campsite. Schwab then stripped each dead body and rolled it into the Pentecost River, then packed their clothes and camping equipment into the Land Cruiser, which was driven a short distance and set alight.
That's sort of his MO now, yeah?
Like strip them all naked.
Quite similar. Yeah, strip them all naked.
I think that's to
Maybe so
remove the clothing.
the crocodiles don't get threads in their teeth as they eat them.
How ridiculous. I just said that's
He's
to remove
very
their clothing.
thoughtful then.
What I meant was to remove evidence, to put the clothes in the car and burn it with the car.
Yeah.
That's what
Well,
I
if
took
the-
from the first time round, not just
Yeah.
just to remove their clothing. Ugh. That's what you said.
If the crocs did eat them, then that would probably work, but the crocs didn't. Also, the car's there.
Yeah, they burn the car.
Anyway. After this one, a description of Schwab's vehicle was circulated widely as the seemingly random murders of 5 campers made international news. Reports of the white Toyota 4Runner with a fiberglass canopy and Queensland plates came from various parts of the Northern Territory and Western Australia. The Toyota 4Runner, now known to have red stripes down both sides, became the most wanted vehicle in Australia, and its driver the nation's most wanted man. A homicide investigation was coordinated from Kununurra at Home Valley Station, and 7 members of the West Australians Tactical Response Group, which will get abbreviated to TRG at various points, were flown to the scene on the 16th of June. Based at Home Valley Station near the Pentecost River, the team quickly established a connection between the murders, finding a boot print in the mud which matched one from the scene in the Northern Territory. For the next 5 days, the TRG team swept station homesteads, many of which had been abandoned by terrified occupants. After the discoveries of the bodies of Walkemeyer, Warren and Bolt on June 15, police established roadblocks throughout the Kimberley region and further south in the Pilbara. Now, this is a huge area, right? But luckily, the roads were virtually empty because word had gotten out that there was a murderer on the loose. Former TRG member Bob Brown told the West Australian in 2017. The TRG members barely slept for 5 days as they searched for
It's a massive area.
Schwab.
Crazy.
Huge. I guess somewhat fortunately, the big break came in the investigation on the 19th of June when helicopter pilot Peter Leutenegger was mustering horses for an upcoming rodeo and flew over the wanted vehicle.
As you do
How's
in
that?
the Northern Territory. Yeah.
Oh, no, what's the...
That's so
I'm
northern.
mustering
Yeah.
horses for the rodeo.
Yeah, they'd be all wild ones because we've got a bit of a feral
Yeah,
horse
of
problem up
course.
there. Feral what are they?
Yeah.
Camels and horses, yeah.
But
Good on
how's
him.
his skills finding it? Yeah, I'm impressed.
Well, it was lucky by the sound of it.
It was hidden under trees and a camouflage net about 3 kilometres off Great Northern Highway. Peter said that he hadn't been up that long, and he and another bloke in the helicopter with him had spotted the vehicle in an area where tourists wouldn't normally be camping. And so, of course, their suspicions were aroused.
And they already knew there was a murderer around. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah,
And the car was the most wanted car in Australia at the time. Yeah.
Yeah. All of that stuff. I quite like this next bit. He flew straight to the Fitzroy Crossing police station and landed his helicopter.
On the road in front. It's brilliant. Because he can. It's all about the space.
I know.
There's so much space.
And it's urgent.
Yeah. Fuck. Yeah.
So he lands his helicopter at the front of the police station, rushes in, and tells them of his discovery.
Absolute
Then
corker.
he
So
went back to
Australian.
get his mustering team out of harm's way.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say, then he went back to work. Yep.
Yeah, well, flies there, tells the police, then flies back. Now everyone get out of the way. There's a madman.
We don't want to be here when
Love
this
it.
shit goes down.
Yes, so he gets his mustering team out of harm's way. Then 2 police aircraft take the TRG team from Kununurra to Fitzroy Crossing, where they were told to carefully check out the car. Aerial reconnaissance of the vehicle, which was concealed in the bushland next to a makeshift camp, was conducted, and the TRG began to approach it on foot. When the ground force was about 50 metres from the vehicle,
So
a police
dangerous.
aircraft flew overhead, drawing Schwab out of the driver's seat. I should say Schwab, not Swab. Anyway.
Schwab, yeah.
Schwab, yeah,
Schwab,
B for sure. Schwab fired at the plane from his .308 Seiko rifle.
Arsehole.
When police called upon Schwab to stop shooting, he fired at them.
He said, "No, mate, take this.
Yeah,
Take these
I'm
ones."
in charge. The TRG team leader then called on his men to engage Schwab, and one of them immediately shot the Seiko out of his hands.
Ooh.
I mean, come on, that is excellent shooting.
But he was aiming for
Don't
his
know if
head.
it was deliberate or not, but yeah, that's right.
Everyone knows it's hard to do a headshot at that distance. You got to go for the body shot. So there's a good chance if you shot him out of his hands.
But the rifle shot.
Yeah, but if he's holding the rifle, in rifle holding position, there's a good chance it was accidental. But anyway, take it. Just take it.
Had incredible reflexes and used the gun to stop the bullet from hitting his body.
Yeah,
and deflect it.
Maybe. I mean,
it could be
we weren't there. Who are we to say? Yeah.
Whilst we're being ridiculous. When Schwab grabbed the .223 Ruger Mini 14 and began running, police fired tear gas rounds at the vehicle. The rounds started a fire which spread through the grass.
No.
What? When was this? What?
Middle of the year, which for that area would be dry season. So
okay, right.
Schwab kept running into the bush with his Ruger, pursued by the TAG officers, who exchanged fire with him several times. And in that case, it's exchanged gunfire, not actual fire. They didn't start throwing fire. He appeared to be adopting a military tactic of firing at police to stop them advancing, finding a new position, then opening fire again. One of the .223 rounds Schwab fired passed through the shirt pocket of a TRG officer.
Wow.
It's impressive. It
really
is a
right
movie.
On his side to do that.
I think that was, Matrix when he bends back. And
yeah.
I think that's how it got the pocket and nothing
nearly
else.
grazed his nipple just,
Yeah, just tweaked it on the way past.
A hot stream.
Hampered visually by smoke and gas, because of course there's the fire and the tear gas. The police continued firing in the direction Schwab had been running as he fired at them from the concealed position. While using this fire and run tactic, a police bullet hit Schwab to the right side of his spine and exited through his heart.
Fuck.
When he fell, the rifle barrel dug into the ground. So he's obviously just collapsed massively. Yep.
That would have killed him, surely.
Yeah. That was the end of Schwab. Police pilot located Schwab's body, which was lying face down. He was wearing only a pair of camouflage trousers.
Because he'd been sitting in the car having a sandwich. He wasn't expecting guests. Maybe he was eating a mango and they're very messy, so he had no top on.
Yeah, so he took his shirt off. Before he was rudely interrupted by gunfire.
The police, that's right. Did not see that coming.
Rude. Forensic evidence, including ballistics, proved conclusively police had stopped the killer of Marcus and Lance Bullen, Philip Walkemeyer, Julie Warren and Terry Bolt.
Good.
While there is no doubt Schwab was the Kimberley Killer, why he embarked on his 10-day reign of terror remains unknown.
Because he could.
Brown, the former TRG officer, told the West Australian that Schwab's vehicle was stacked with ammunition and he was ready to keep killing.
Yeah, he would have killed anyone who came across
that he was going to kill lots more people.
Yeah.
He's got no doubt that there's going to be many, many more.
Yeah, no.
So short but sweet, but that is the story of Joseph Schwab, who would become known as the Kimberley Killer.
What an asshole.
Have you heard of it?
I've never heard of it, no. But then again,
incredible story.
The more we do this and the more, we have to research and do things, the more I realise there's so much I've never heard of. There are so many stories that I've just like, what? How have I not heard of that? And this is a bit similar. God. It did remind me that was 8 years prior to Port Arthur, which then saw our big gun referendum and, handing them back in and reducing gun crime. I mean, I don't know what the level of gun crime was in Australia, but the fact that he could go into a shop in Adelaide and buy 75,000 rifles.
It was in Brisbane, to be fair.
Okay, fine. Oh, okay. It's Queensland. No, just kidding. The fact that he could go
I take it all back.
The fact that he could go in at that time, completely unrestricted, and just say, I just want all these, I don't know much about guns, but I'm assuming, give me an arsenal, and I don't mean the football team. And no one raises any concern. I've got a guy here, and he's wanting to buy like 5 rifles and 3,000 rounds of ammo. Just want to put him on people's radar? No.
Is that too much? Is that unusual? Should I be alarmed?
No.
Should I be alert, not alarmed?
The last 15 guys just came in and bought the same shit.
Yeah,
so why
that's
would I
right.
be worried? Sales are sale.
Yep. It's long pig season.
All right. God. No, never ever heard of that. It did smack of not the gratuitousness of Wolf Creek, but it has, I feel like lots of these sorts of stories that come out of Australia, particularly out of the Northern Territory or more remote areas, kind of have all lent themselves into that horrendous film. I know that Ivan Milat is part of the kind of fabric of the inspiration, if you like, for that. So, I think there's something in this. It's the remoteness of it, I think, that makes you think about. Definitely. It's just these people going out and having a nice camping trip. Out with your family, going to go do this thing, probably have dreamed of doing this forever, finally got there, and some fucking lunatic just comes up and kills you. Horrendous.
Imagine flying all the way to another country on the other side of the world to go and do this.
But I think maybe his first trip over, he saw that it was all possible.
Yeah, but he went to Adelaide in the first thing, and then he's gone to Brisbane.
Maybe it's the vastness of our country that encourages people to go, I could go out there and they won't catch me for ages. I could, if I wanted, what's the Falconio one, right? I don't even know if they ever really caught that person. And the media, I don't know if it was here or in the UK, seemed to try and pin it on the girlfriend, but it's nothing to do with her. She's just very lucky to have survived. But that's another one of these people who live when you're in such a remote area that you can just murder someone and no one would know about it for a long time. Like I think in that story, doesn't she goes to the pub or something, she's got to wait hours or something for the police to arrive and anyone to sort of respond. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah, of course.
It's hugely famous in Australia. And I'm not sure, I think it was Our Press tried to suggest that she killed him and made it up, which was not true. Bad work. Fake news. Well, what do you think of for sentencing? Are you happy that he just got shot dead, or
I feel like
a bit of an easy
cop-out?
He got
it pretty easy.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's actually what he wanted anyway. I find it weird that he was burning the cars,
suicide by police.
He could have driven the cars somewhere else, like a long way away. I mean, he would have to walk back. That's the problem.
Driven him into the river.
But he didn't. Well, he didn't have to burn them, which is what alerted people to them.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
It's so weird because that means he's going to get found sooner, I would have thought.
I just don't think he's in his right mind, to be fair. I'm not sure he was calculated or planning, like the Israel Keys one that Carla covered a while back, where the man was meticulous to the point where by the end of that, the more I thought about that, and when I edited the show, the more I thought he wants the recognition now. That's why he did it the way he did at the end. He wanted people to. He was so clever and so good. This is Keys. No one even knew what was going on. He was signalling entirely. Look at me. Because he was done, but he wanted the recognition for it. I think this guy was just a spree killer, frankly, and wasn't about that. I think he was just mad.
Well, I can't help but think he wanted to kill as many people as he could
until he got taken down,
killed. Yeah. But I think he expected to kill a lot more than what he did.
Well, 3,000 rounds of ammunition would suggest yes. I mean, he killed 5-6 people.
5.
He only spent maybe 15 rounds on that.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, he shot the police as well.
Well, just the nipple. Yeah, true. He might have gone through a few, let's say 100 rounds.
Even if he went through 200,
True, and not a drop in the ocean of what he prepared for,
No.
Reminds me of that other mad bastard, the one in Sweden. Was it Sweden or Norway? You know, the one that shot all the cool kids?
Was that Norway? Went to the island when they were all on holidays?
Yeah, went to the island when they were on holiday or camp or something. Freaking horrendous. Similar kind of thing, only he went to our most sparsely populated part of the country.
to kill as many people as he can.
Well, I mean, in
I
some
think
ways,
he expected to be able to get away for it for a lot
that's it.
longer, but that's why I don't understand the burning of the cars, because
It's stupid, just stupid. Like,
way
they're
to
not all
signal.
super geniuses, right?
Back in the 80s, no mobile phones. If you got people, there's no way they're going to be found quickly.
No, it's not smart. I think that's where we're going to go with that. Maybe I don't know what to
Yes.
do with him. I feel like being shot in those circumstances, might be what he wanted, as he said, and it's a bit of a cop out. Really, he doesn't get to. It's no justice.
No. And also
So
that thing of getting people on their, lying face down and then shooting them in the back.
so
Like,
awful.
Coward.
I think in good NT style, what I might do is, or WA style, even doesn't really matter. We've got the same animals in these places. I think I might stake him out on a beach somewhere on a riverfront and let the crocodiles do to him what they were unable to do to his victims.
Yeah.
Well, he's
Nice.
alive, of course, so he gets to experience being eaten alive by a crocodile, which is horrific. Horrific.
Oh, it would be so bad.
Yeah.
Have you seen the movie Razorback or heard of the movie Razorback?
Yes, I have, and it was a very, very, very long time ago when it first came out. I think it was probably on something like Channel 7 and had 6 hours of ads. That's how long ago it was.
So I'm going to subject him to a pig mauling. So this is how we used to do the Razorback impersonation. Ready? Because they have this
They do.
thing going. Ugh.
Razorback was terrifying in a kind of ridiculous way, don't you think?
Oh, like so many of those.
Schlock
Because there were
horror.
heaps. There was Cujo, all the animal horror, though, that.
I'm sorry, when a St. Bernard goes crazy, there's nothing funny about that.
No.
There's nothing funny when a feral pig does either, but the whole fact that they're on the loose madly hunting people down, it doesn't happen that often.
It's a
but
bit like
everything
Jaws,
was
though.
doing
Like, and wasn't there an orca version of that where they're hunting a
was,
particular
yeah.
person? You're like, oh, for fuck's sake, come on. The ocean's a big place.
There was that.
Just stay on
There
dry
wasn't a
land. It'll
kangaroo
never kill
version.
you. No, but
Well, there could have been a koala version, a drop bear version.
No, kangaroos should be. I'll tell you, dangerous things.
They are.
I was looking at a video. Someone was, I don't know who it was. It was on this morning when I sent you that other joke video I saw. But this one was talking about kangaroos, particularly big red kangaroos, talking about how the males are often 2 or 3 times the size of the females and they have this incredible muscle mass. And then at the very end, she finishes it with, they never skip arm day. I'm like, absolutely right. They are deer who've been to prison.
Buff.
Aren't they just? They're quite terrifying. And maybe whack them in a mob full of territorial and slightly threatened kangaroos. They don't just box, they rip you apart. They will eviscerate you.
But with their feet. Yeah, of course they will.
Yeah. To our non-Australian listeners, kangaroos, I think we've said this before, but they're quite dangerous.
They're quite clever too, because they will go and wait in like knee-deep water. If they're being attacked by a dog, they'll
drown a dog
into the dam, into knee-deep water. Dog comes in, they drown it.
Yeah, I know. They're vicious.
Like,
they're smart and they're vicious. Yeah. That's why we eat them. Not only do we eat them, we cull them and we feed them to dogs. That's the circle of life, and it moves and soars. All right, so you're doing a Razorback tag. Is that where we were headed?
Yeah,
with
Razorback.
that?
Remember, what was the sequel to Hannibal? Oh, it was Hannibal.
Hannibal.
To
Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs.
That would be Hannibal.
Remember the bloke who feeds people to his pigs to get rid of the bodies?
No, but
The
that's
Irish
common.
one with all
That's a
the teeth.
common way to do it. Yeah.
it
'Cause
is.
they eat
So
everything.
anyway, he's got I want him to be like that, but it's going to be feral pigs hunting him down more Razorback style than, him being fed to them.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I think that's fair. That's fair. And he, in fairness, he kind of asked for it. He went into the wilderness where they are and he also hunted them. So it's just the circle of life. All right, on that note, that was a good one. And as we say every week, miss you already.
Miss you already.
Ciao.
Ciao, 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 ciao. Thanks for listening to Trial by Wine. You can contact us at trialbywine@gmail.com. Please rate, review and subscribe to Trial by Wine on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to support us, you can become a patron at www.patreon.com, Trial by Wine, or visit our website www.trialbywine.com to donate to us. Your support will help us cover many more cases and apply wacky sentences. We really appreciate you listening and hope you tell everyone about us. Our cover art is by John Christo and music is by Beauchamp from pixabay.com.